Keep that boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno. First pregame show of 2025. Happy New Year's, everybody. Thanks for being here early. See the chat already lighting up. Happy to have you here. Kings pregame on If You Don't Like That. Bringing in the New Year's. Hope you had a safe night last night. Terrible incident in New Orleans. Got to start there. This is a sports show. We're here to get our minds off some of that stuff, but not acknowledging it would be a big misstep. Terror again on our soil in New Orleans. Everybody should be having both TVs tuned up, getting ready for the Sugar Bowl today, and Kings and Sixers basketball. But the Sugar Bowl has been postponed due to the tragedy in New Orleans. At least 10 dead and more than 35 injured. Thoughts and prayers go out to them. I hope none of you were affected directly by the tragedy, but just another reminder of this world and just how precious life is. So not to start on a downer, but man, not the way we wanted to start off 2025. Now let's transition. Kings tonight, back at home. 76ers won 4 in a row. Doug Christie talked to the media earlier tonight. If you have been living under a rock, Keegan Murray not playing tonight. That left ankle has flared up again. Soreness. He will be out. Doug Christie still is in quote-unquote flux about who's going to be taking his spot in the starting lineup. We've got some audio from Christie's pregame, I should say, press conference. We've got audio from practice yesterday. How about Malik Monk? Did anybody catch this?
Yeah, since he's been back, he lost a lot of pounds. He was fat at the beginning of the year. Put on lost some of them LBs, and he's moving around now.
Talking about Trey Lyles. Think Malik took some for that afterwards. Who knows? We'll get to it. Hope you're having a wonderful day. First of 3 shows here on If You Don't Like That, covering tonight's game between the Kings and the Sixers. Let's get it started on the other side. Welcome in the pregame show right here on If You Don't Like That.
Grant and Ryan, break it down. It's Sacktown, we're the crown.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the kind of Williams, the D-line. Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that.
My, as I scan this chat, and welcome back in, Ryan in Sacktown with you, getting you ready for Kings basketball. Can they win 2 in a row? What are we talking about here? Get a game closer to 500, both on the season and on their home court? We'll see here in a little bit. They're going to have a damn good shot at it, considering Joel Embiid is a no-go tonight. How about that? KJ Martin also out. 3 game time decisions: Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, and Andre Drummond. We'll see as we get closer to tip-off. No Devin Carter. He is still working his way back into game shape, so you'll have to wait another night to catch his NBA debut. But regardless, no Joel Embiid is massive for this Kings team on many different levels. The last couple of years, when the Kings have met the 76ers and Embiid has been healthy, it has looked like a grown-ass man playing against middle school kids when the Kings try to defend him down low. He has had his way with the Beam team. So a huge help tonight that he will not be in the lineup. Defense, a massive focus of this Sacramento team. And Doug Christie really drawing a little bit of a line in the sand about relating to the players a little bit more, seeing as he was a player here in Sacramento. We're going to listen to some of that audio here in a little bit. As soon as we have an idea of who's starting for Keegan Murray, we'll let you know that as well. Who do you think it should be? I wouldn't be totally surprised. Would not be surprised if it's either Doug McDermott. As crazy as that sounds, I could see Doug going to Doug on this, but I'm kind of leaning towards Trey Lyles. I think Trey Lyles has a decent shot at getting the start here. Who knows? That is up to Coach Christie. He gets paid the big interim bucks to make those decisions. So, anyways, let me know what you're doing tonight. Let me know where you're watching from. Obviously, reading through this chat, Keegan Murray is the new Harrison Barnes. Like, do you realize what happened last time the Kings did not have Keegan Murray? Do I need to remind you what the defense looked like against Denver without him? I get he's not shooting the ball well, y'all. I get that. But he is your best defender on this team. Now, defensive rating individually would tell you it's Keon Ellis, but Keon Ellis has not played nearly the minutes that Keegan has played this season. So I'm giving the nod to him, but happy to have you here. We're going to get you coverage all night long, as you know. Jerry Reynolds, if you missed the Kings Court yesterday, go back and check it out. He joined me. We talked just about the state of the Kings. We talked about what simplifying the offense, the defense means. A lot of good things there. A few miscellaneous questions mixed in as well, like updates on Larry Bird. Some of you got some random ones in there, so we even hit that. So go check that out at another time. But good news, Jerry will be back at the intermission with us here tonight, breaking down the first half. And post game, we're taking your calls, hopefully talking about another Kings win, 14-19 on the season, 7-12 on their home court. Again, the Sixers come in with a 4-game winning streak. They're on the outside looking in. They might be in the 10 seed. We'll put the standings up in a second in the East. I believe they're 1 game out of the 10 seed and the play-in in the Eastern Conference. Just to give you an idea, they're 13-17 on the season, 500 on the road. They also struggle on their home court as well. The Sixers have had a weird start, very weird start to the season. Their last 5, just to give you an idea of what they've done, they beat Portland the other night on the 30th. They beat Utah. They also beat Boston. That's a hell of a win, 118-114. And they beat San Antonio 111-106, got blown out by Cleveland 126-99. So again, 4 of 5. They have won 4 in a row. But can the Kings have another hell of a stretch of defense like they had in the second half? What I do know, and Doug Christie talked about this both yesterday and he talked about it today, the Kings have to get out to a fast start. The starters need to be better. And in Doug's eyes, it starts on the defensive end. Even De'Aaron Fox, a lot about defense. Yesterday in practice, remember last game, they came out and they gave up 7 of 8 3-pointers right there to start the game. We've seen that all too often at the G1C. And then slowly, that second unit, Keon Ellis, Kevin Huerter to a degree, came in and really picked up the pace. Now, that really happened in the third quarter. That's where we saw the big difference in this Kings team and the comeback against the Mavericks. Jerry Reynolds said at halftime, you've got to put some pressure on these guards because the guards are closer to G League guards than they are actual NBA guards. Speaking of Dallas, because they had so many people out. The Kings at one point last game, from the third quarter to the mid-fourth quarter, had 16 stops in 19 defensive possessions, forcing 11 turnovers in those 19 possessions. That is winning defensive basketball. That is what gets the Kings back out in transition and running. Now, the trouble with this Philadelphia team tonight, not going to sugarcoat it, they are so good defensively at times. Nick Nurse is great at mixing defensive looks up, changing gears, giving you multiple different schemes within one game. They've had some trouble or given Sabonis trouble in the past. Speaking of Sabonis, foul trouble, a game where he cannot continue to get into foul trouble. In fact, the Kings need to be better about getting into foul trouble. So loving the leather, as Jerry Reynolds says, is going to go a long way in this one tonight. As I said right off the top, no Keegan Murray for the Kings tonight. Nonetheless, the Kings 7.5 point favorites. 7.5 point favorites in this one. Doug Christie did his pregame press conference. Here's what Doug had to say about tonight.
Steals their last game. Just what are you in your scouting seeing from what they are able to do on that end of the floor and their strengths there?
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, they change up defenses quite often. You're going to see multiple zones. You're going to see blitzes. You're going to see unders. You're going to see all types of things. But that's where you got to be on top of your game. And a lot of times you have to take what the defense gives you. And sometimes by being over aggressive, it's a help. But you have to be on point to recognize that. So I see what Nick does. Last time we were in Philly, they had a small on Domas. Like there's a lot of good things there, and we just have to deal with it in a proper way with a calm demeanor and read.
Doug's really trying to take some pressure off of the guys. And Jerry Reynolds said this yesterday, simplifying things to him when I asked the question, explain it to the fan base. How do you interpret simplifying the offense and the defense? It really came down to schemes. It really came down to getting back to the nuts and bolts of what the Kings do, what defensive basketball should be. We saw a couple of times last game in the second quarter where they were denying the ball, something we've rarely seen this season. That's a good thing. We've seen the corners, though, still giving up far too often. And the Kings are going to have to do a much better job of that tonight, especially with Philadelphia coming in. Tyrese Maxey, a guy that has absolutely gashed the Kings far too many times in his young career so far in the NBA. We're brought to you tonight by Bennett's Restaurants, the West Side Grill in Rockland, the newest of their 3 locations in the greater Sacramento area. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com for more information. We will talk about them a little bit more here in a little bit. Let's start looking at the numbers as they sit. Here is the Western Conference for you. The Kings still on the outside looking in. This is coming into play today. Houston Rockets still playing really well. Look at Memphis moving up the board, although Houston's lost 2 in a row. So keep an eye there. What are the Lakers going to do? Are they going to fall a little bit? Bottom of the West. How about the Golden State Warriors? Still trying to figure it out. Still struggling a little bit. Phoenix, same thing. Phoenix not quite to par where they want to be yet. As for the Eastern Conference, there's where we're at. I was correct. The Sixers, a game out of that play-in spot. The Detroit Pistons came in here and won at the Golden One Center a couple games ago. They have played their way into the 10 spot. But look at how drastically different the East is. I mean, the top of the East, strong. Cleveland, not going anywhere. Boston, not going anywhere. Boston shoots over 53s a game. Insane. But outside of that, look at the middle of the East. 17-14, 18-15, 16-14, 16-18 is the 8 seed for the Pacers. Tells you the grind of the Western Conference night in and night out. There's the bottom of the West as we sit right now. The Kings ahead of Portland in the win column, played a few more games than them, 2 ahead in the loss column coming into tonight. And maybe 2025 turns a new page for the Kings at home. I've got to give a big, huge tip of the hat to the fans last game. The fans at the G1C freaking brought it. Way to go. Picked up the team. And you know what made them go? What gave them that energy? It was that defensive end. It was the transition. It's the hustle. Hope to see the same thing tonight from this team. Also, want to see how Doug Christie adjusts to having no Keegan Murray. He's your Swiss Army knife. He's that guy that many times can guard 1 through 5. And I know offensively, he has struggled. I'm seeing it left and right in the chat, but defensively, that has not been a problem. He has been the anchor of the defense. So how will Doug negotiate that coming in tonight? Some of the numbers from last game, we can check those out as we get to the chat. Appreciate everybody being here on this New Year's Day 2025. Anybody hungover? Anybody not feeling so good today? What was your hangover cure? Let me know. Let me know. No hangover here. I don't drink. But anybody feeling it and just getting going? Oregon got smashed today. No surprise there. Boise shot themselves in the foot. Penn State moves on. Ohio State, are they for real? We'll see. Looking forward to that one tomorrow. Too bad it was postponed. And more importantly, what happened in New Orleans? Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Yes, Devin, why bring him up from Stockton? Because you've seen what you needed to see from him in Stockton. Devin said he had not played an organized 5-on-5 game since the Big East tournament in college. So he got a little run in. Let him now get into shape up here with this team. I talked about it with Jerry a little bit yesterday. Devin has an opportunity here to hit the ground running in this sense. He's traveled with the team throughout his rehab. He's been around these guys. And no, he hasn't played. Yes, in Devin Carter's words, there's nothing like basketball shape. You can't replicate it. You just got to go out there and play to get into that shape. But in terms of the speed of the game, I think Devin, compared to some other rookies, is going to have a little bit of a step up in the sense that he has the NBA pedigree, but also, again, he's been in all the film sessions. He's been traveling with this team. He's got an idea about the NBA grind. He's been taking those mental reps, sometimes the mental reps, just as important as the actual physical reps. You should drink. Why? Did you hear my story yesterday on the King's Court? No, too expensive. Too expensive. I'm over it, man. I'm 40. Give me a nice cold Dr. Pepper. Give me some soda water. I'm a pretty happy camper there. Let's see as I go through the chat. We're already getting some score predictions. Maxey will go for 45. Sure as hell hope not. Kings 107-91. Tom, what's up from Tom? That's Tom from Omaha, I believe. Happy New Year. Started off right. Kings get it done. Yep, there you go. Tom from Omaha. See, I didn't even read through the entire comment. Glad I did. Any score predictions? I'll get to them here in a little bit. Light the beam. I heard rumors going around. Is that the Heat wants to trade for Fox? I can tell you probably most teams in the NBA would want to trade for De'Aaron Fox. Look, Houston's been thrown around. Don't count out the Lakers, by the way. The Lakers have the assets. The question is, do the Kings have the balls to make that trade with a rival? I don't think they do. That would be on a different level. But Miami, could they be in play? Sure, they could. But I think it's way too early. We're so far away from the trade deadline. And in fact, when Jerry and I talked yesterday, Jerry was of the opinion that you don't even really start testing the waters until the deadline. Jerry thinks you should hold on to Fox until the offseason, around the draft. He thinks you can get better value around the draft. That was very surprising to me, but I respect Jerry's opinion very much. I know many of you do as well. Donald, what's up? Do the Kings have enough momentum to win another game? Last win was kind of sloppy. It was sloppy. There's no doubt about it. It was sloppy in the first half. They cleaned it up in the second half. Now, offensively, that's my worry with this team. De'Aaron Fox said yesterday that scoring 110 is enough most nights. I don't think it is. I really don't. Let's get to some of De'Aaron's comments yesterday from practice, and then we'll keep talking about this one in a second. Here was De'Aaron yesterday after practice.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be better. It all starts defensively. I think we still ended up only shooting 42% from the field or something like that. But 110 points is always is enough to get it done. And like I said, outside of what we did in that first quarter, holding them to about basically 63 points in the last 3 quarters, no matter who's.
I don't disagree with him about the second half. It's a great job defensively in the second half. They gave up 60 in the first half. And I believe it was, what was the final score? We're looking at it, 100. So they gave up 40 points in the last 2 quarters. De'Aaron said 63 between the second and fourth quarters. But it really started again mid-third quarter. There was a stretch where the Mavericks went turnover, missed 3, turnover, turnover, turnover. Now, one thing that does need to change, and Doug addressed this post-game against the Mavericks, and he kind of tippy-toed around it in practice, is let the coach handle the refs. Let the coach handle the stuff that sometimes can take you out of your game. Foxy's been getting a little too mouthy with the officials as of late. He was way too mouthy last year, and then at the start of this year, it toned down. It got better, but now it's gotten worse. He picked up that technical foul, and when your leader, or at least your face of this franchise, starts getting technicals, that's a green light for everybody else to do it. Trey Lyles gets one, and I get that sometimes there's a such thing as a good technical foul, but with De'Aaron, and I tweeted this out, a ton of people retweeted it or liked it, was there's a very fine line between competitive fire and losing your composure. And De'Aaron's dancing all over that line at times. And far too often, whether it's De'Aaron, whether it's somebody else, the refs are getting in the Kings' heads at times of the game where the Kings should be completely focused on what's going on in the game. Where they're down 3, maybe they're up 1. Direct that somewhere else. Here's De'Aaron Fox again.
It started with the open looks. You ask any player who plays at a high level, not even considering NBA or even pro level. You get high school kids, they see the first 1 or 2 shots go in. Now, if you're not blocking their shot, there's pretty much nothing that you could do, and that's what happened in the first quarter. Obviously, PJ saw one go down, Spencer saw one go down, and now it just opened the floodgates. But I think after that, we were able to be physical. We made easier shots tough, and once we kind of got them out.
The physical piece of basketball for this team is so incredibly important. When this team waits and lets the other team come to them, usually that's when the Kings run into problems. The Kings need to set that tone rather than letting their opponent set that tone. The Kings are usually very successful when they are the ones setting the tone. As we start to look at some of the Sixers numbers, I think that is important as well. Here's some numbers on the Sixers as we keep talking and going through the chat. De'Aaron also was asked about the continuing noise around Coach Brown's firing over the last couple of days. We have hit on the Ramona Shelburne article and everything that was in it, especially the quotes from the unnamed source about the roster being fine and meetings being convened, yada, 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 and the line of command on who found out, when they found out. De'Aaron responded this way.
Type of coverage all the time, right? Now you're the talk of it because something bad happened. But I mean, at this point, if you want to place that blame on me, I had no say so. I found out 2 minutes before everybody else found out. I was standing in UPS, dropping off a package on the way to the airport. I found out just like everybody else. So, I mean, that is what it is. I'm done talking about that. If people think that was me, then it was me.
How about in terms of you got a lot of home games coming up, and that's kind of been the Achilles heel for you guys a little bit. I know you guys are such a.
I just got here. It's been like 90 seconds.
I know you.
I
Guys
finished shooting first.
I know you guys are such a day-to-day operation, but does this feel like a pretty crucial stretch if in the event you can turn things around?
Yeah, I mean, obviously all home stretches, like those are where teams usually, get a lot of their wins. And I mean, with us, even the past couple of years, we've been one of the better road teams in the league. But if we can stay being one of the better road teams while also being a better home team, like, you're looking at, from 8th or 9th seed in the West to a 4 or 5 seed in the West. So.
Got to be better at home, no doubt about it. Keon Ellis getting the start tonight. Not mad at it. I'm okay with it. Smaller, definitely, but quicker. One of the problems this team's had with that starting lineup has not been athletic enough. Maybe that helps tonight. We will see. If you're going to the game, let me know what the tone's like there. Call us after the show. We definitely want to hear from you. Logan, what's up? How you doing? Mike Brown sucked. Doesn't matter what happened. Everybody's got such a different take on this thing. I get it. DSC, good evening. Starting DeRozan seems wrong. Well, Mike Brown reportedly thought the same thing, and he got axed. Dave, Ryan, plug yours and Grant's merchandise. Some people don't know you have some or where to find it. Can you give out the link for those who want it? Dave, dude, I told you only had to do that comment for 2 shows. This is like the 4th show. I'm not paying you again. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. You can go to grantnapier.com. Go to the shop link. That will take you to our merch. We've got a bunch of new stuff out, and we're going to have new merch releasing as well. In fact, Dave, since nobody's using the caller line right now, there you go. New merch released. Use the QR code. You can get in right there if you would like. Let's see who cares. Oh, I care about the merch. Keon Fox and Monk. Yes, indeed. Appreciate the kind words. Elvis, trying my best. Trying to get better every day. Trying to get better. Do the Lakers have enough firsts? Probably want firsts and a good prospect for Fox. Well, that's the big thing. You got to get something for Fox. Doesn't that decision have to be made before any other decisions? Before you start making significant moves around Fox? I think you got to find out how that shoe's going to drop first. But yeah, we'll see. Look, here's the thing. There is a scenario where the Kings, and we'll keep looking at what the 76ers do well. You can go through their numbers there. The thing is, if you can get ahead of the curve with Fox, maybe you can be the team that sets the market for the trade deadline, but that takes a lot of risk. And remember, you also have to have somebody that wants to trade with you. I think the Kings should be in no rush to trade De'Aaron. I think you wait, you sit back, and you get the deal you want. Now, if another big shoe drops first and the market set, and let's say it's not necessarily a massive outlier like the Gobert trade was a couple of seasons ago, then maybe that motivates you to hop in the market then. It's hard to say. I think the thing that troubles me the most, so I bring you back in and we'll keep looking at some stats here in a second. The thing that troubles me the most, coming off that Ramona Shelburne article, is this belief from the source that this roster is fine. If that is the belief within the organization and, these meetings that were convened, can't speak, by Monty McNair and ownership and the team president, yada, yada, yada. If they all believe, and somebody's selling that to Vivek, that this roster is fine, that's concerning to me. Doesn't take a basketball genius to see that this roster, especially after the starters, has some issues. So that means you've got Monty McNair, who's going to be basically handling these big decisions. And if he thinks this roster's fine now, I don't know if I want Monty making all the big decisions that could put this team into what I call a recalibration, where it's not necessarily a rebuild. You're still competitive. You can still hang around the play-in, possibly playoffs. 7, 8, 6, if you're lucky. Or if you screw it up, you could be set back 6, 7 years. That's the thing. So I would like to see a little bit more common sense that used there. That concerned me the most out of that article. So let's see. Bro, this Kings team has played games with no LeBron, no Embiid, no Zion, no Wemby, no Ja, no Luka, no KD, no Devin Booker. It's a joke. This team has no killer. So what's new? Dates back to 2 years ago. The Kings went on their massive run in 22-23 right after the All-Star break, because almost every team they played, the first 4 or 5 games, was without their star. But the Kings capitalized then. Then last season, what happened? If a star was missing, it's like, oh crap, that's even a bigger sign this team's going to lose or play poor. It's been the operating procedure. It's been the status quo. They do need to get a little bit more of a killer instinct, and it's like this team doesn't always respond. They're not proactive, they're reactive. And I'd like to see that change. Maybe Doug Christie inspires some of that change. Speaking of Doug, he spoke to the media after practice. Here's Doug.
How important is that?
It's kind of who we want to be, and I think that's as we continue to go every day, every game, every week, every month, we're defining our identity of who I would like us to be. And that's one of the things is we come out, and as soon as the ball is thrown up and whoever gets it, we're out. And that's what I explained to them is I expect us to hit the ground. Now, I understand that some of the things that we do, I have to make sure that they have their legs and they're ready to go. And that's part of my understanding, and I try to give to them. So I'm giving you that. So you make sure that when it hits.
Here's my concern. I agree with Doug there. With the simplification of this offense, it's been a lot more perimeter based. We've seen not as much pick and roll. We've not seen Sabonis utilized the same way we did when Malik Monk entered the starting lineup. Here's my other concern. When the Kings had their first 15 or 20 games, and they were in a ton of close games, what kept them in games and what won them games many times was free throws. Last season, free throw attempts were down almost 21% from 22-23. That is like falling off the cliff. That's not just a little bit down. They're down a fifth. That's a lot of points. During that 15 to 20 games, the Kings were near the top of the league, not only in free throw percentage, but free throw attempts. Since this 6-game skid that was just snapped, and since Doug Christie has become the head coach, free throws have been way down. Last game, the Kings only shot 19. In LA, I believe the Kings only shot 11. They fouled the Lakers 26 times. So what I'm saying is as we sit today, the Kings, their free throw attempts are only up 5.8% from last year when they were down 21+%. Somehow, some way, whether it's in transition, whether they do utilize pick and roll more, whatever it is, this team has got to get to the free throw line. If this team continues to only get to the free throw line 11, 12, 15 times a game, that is going to be its Achilles heel, especially if they are in close games. So I'm paying attention to the free throws tonight. I think that is a massive, massive thing for this team. They have got to get to the free throw line, especially against the East Coast team. This team will want to run a little bit, but Philly's going to try to slow it down. And the way that you make sure that Philly's not going to slow it down is you don't let their defense get set. So the Kings got to find ways to keep the pace up tempo, not make stupid fouls when they're frustrated, making sure that they're not turning the ball over, things of that nature, going to be very important to what this team does tonight. Kings, Sixers coming up for you here in just a few minutes. Appreciate everybody being here. Want to get your final scores in just a few minutes. Oh, that's a weird number. I do not. Oh, thank you. It just went up. So in our studio, I can see how many people have checked in at some point. It was at 666. Thank goodness it just changed to 674. I do not like seeing that. Did not like seeing that. One thing that I love to see is all of your reaction to Bennett's restaurants. You all have given us amazing feedback, and it is no surprise because Bennett's is one of my favorite places here in Sacramento. 3 locations in the greater Sacramento area. The West Side Grill, located in the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. Anybody make it out for brunch today? They've got weekend brunch at all 3 of their locations. Also prime rib Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Not to worry if you can't make it out on the weekend. They've got specials during the week as well. Happy hour 2 to 6 o'clock Monday through Friday. Wine and dine Mondays, 2 entrees, bottle of wine, under $70. And if you're thinking about having a gathering at your place, maybe you want to host it at a restaurant, consider Bennett's. They've got some beautiful private dining rooms that they can set aside for you. Each one has a little bit of a different feel. In fact, don't just take it from me. Check this out. This is from Brian Bennett. He sent me this the other day. Bennett's could do this for you in your get-together.
I don't know about you, but if you're thinking about having a holiday party or a party of any kind, and you don't ask us to make our house smoked salmon, to grill our prime New York steak, to grill long stem artichokes, to make ahi pokey. What are you talking about? You're going to have a party and you're not going to call Bennett's and have them take care of you? My goodness gracious. Give us a call. We can make this for Easter. We can make it for Christmas. We can make it for anybody's.
Hungry? Where are you starting? I think I'm starting with the shrimp, maybe some pokey. Then I'm going straight for the smoked salmon and the New York Prime. The New York Prime's incredible. Prime cuts of seafood and steak at Bennett's. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. You can learn more about the locations. You can skim the menu, find out more about the specials, put in your orders to go, make reservations. You can do everything there. bennettsrestaurants.com. And again, huge thanks to all of you who have supported Bennett's. Let them know you heard about them here on the channel, and let us know when you go in. We'll make sure to highlight that as well. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Margot, and the entire team there. So start giving me your final scores. Put those in the chat. If you didn't know, another ex-King who is going the coaching route is in town tonight, Bobby Jackson. An assistant for the Philadelphia 76ers will be here. Doug talked a little bit yesterday about Bobby being here and some of the differences that Doug is trying to take over for this team since taking over as head coach.
Why it's so significant to have that player-coach relationship on an intense level.
I mean, one is I did it so I know if you're bull jiving me, you know. So I think that's a little bit of it. But I think also, I respect them as people. I have always talked to them as people since I got here in whatever capacity I was in, and just an understanding of actually what you're going through. Like, you can, in theory, talk about what they're going through, but there are only certain people in the world have actually gone through what they're going through. So I think that there's a little bit of that, but I think at the same time, they know that I actually care about them as people. And for me, I think I always responded best to coaches when I knew that they had love for me truly, and that will make them run through a wall for you. And that's the only way that we're going to get to where we want to go. Is we got barriers and we got to break them down. We can climb over them, go around them. Now we're going to go right through it.
The style of play in the league has changed a lot since you were a player, and obviously you've witnessed that and worked around the league as that process has taken place. But just what's the process been like for you to fully embrace as the head coach this new style of play, and is there any aspect of there's a whole lot of threes being shot today?
Yeah, it has, but in many ways our team defined the new style of basketball. We just didn't shoot as many threes, but the ball movement, body movement, sharing the basketball, 5-man basketball, big guys that can do multiple things. If Coach Adelman would have let Vlade shoot three-pointers and Chris shoot three-pointers, well, damn, they would have shot a whole bunch of three-pointers. It wasn't there yet, but we had players that could do all of that. So in many ways, for me, it's a little bit easier understanding because we were playing 5-man basketball before 5-man basketball was a thing. And everybody was playing everywhere. Our big men were the passers. So we had a Sabonis on our team, and so understanding that and seeing how it goes, I think is a little bit helpful to me. But to your point, yeah, I think today's basketball, like sometimes they don't run for layups because they stop and shoot a three-pointer. When I was a little kid, you would be like, oh, what are you doing? But today, three is more than two, so they do that, and you have to adapt to some of that. But I think I got a feel for that from my playing, but also now coaching, observing, commentating, all the different things, and I'm just a fan of basketball, period. Yeah.
How excited are you to look across and see Bobby on the bench tomorrow night?
I mean, that's my guy, so I love him. So, yeah, when the game's over, when the game's going on, he knows that's how he is. So I would expect nothing less. But super excited to watch guys, especially from here, that are having type of success that Bobby has had. I'm super proud of.
Interesting reading some of these comments. Bennett's is legit. Yes, it is. Would not lie to you. We do not support and have sponsors that we do not fully believe in here. When Nabes is in town, he double days it at Bennett's. He'll go for lunch and dinner. Not kidding. Oso wearing a custom Bennett's jersey. I'm going to call you out. I don't think you're wearing a Bennett jersey. If you are, send it to me on the X. Let me see that. Appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a retweet. Would really help the algorithm out for us here on the channel. The support as of late has been incredible. So thank you to each and every one of you, whether you watch live, you download the audio. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Could not thank you more for what you're doing. Let's see. We're going to get some final scores in. Kings 121, 76ers 115. Okay. Kings 112, 76ers 107. A lot of confidence in the Kings tonight. DSC 115, 104. Mark saying 101, 100. Okay. Low scoring affair. My man Rich, I know he was just at Bennett's. Know that for sure. We were talking about it. Good job, Rich. All the way down in San Diego. Bobby getting some love here on the channel. The Mat Man. Is that like the wrestling mat, or are you just the Mat Man? Interesting. 101.98 Sixers. Okay. All right. Keep them coming. We'll get them up real quick before we release for this one. NBA scoreboard. Right now, the Rockets up 99-84. The showdown of Texas over the Mavericks. The Nuggets up 2 on the Hawks, 68-66. That one almost at the half. We've got our game, the Kings and the Sixers. Pistons 105-96. They keep winning. They got that West Coast bump. They beat the Magic 105-96. The Wizards take down the Bulls 125-107. The Heat 119-104. 108 over the Pelicans. The Knicks 119-103 over the Jazz, and the Raptors take down the Nets 130-113. There we go. Flores 76s 111-99. All right, we'll see Andrew getting his last minute one in. 118-116 Kings. Well, I do know this. This isn't a team that you can let come out and shoot 7 of 8 from the three-point line in the first quarter, and definitely not a team that you want to fall 15 or 20 behind to. You just don't want to do it. They're too well coached. They really are. AB 107-98. There you go. So, just we're getting an explanation. Just to play on your name. All right, good enough. Good enough. You love Batman. All right, the Batman. Can respect that. Don't forget, this is just the first of 3 shows tonight here on the channel. Here at halftime, Jerry Reynolds be with us, breaking down the first half, giving us his keys to the second half, and probably giving us a few laughs as well. We'll find out how Jerry rang in the new year. I think he told me yesterday he's going to have a hot toddy with Mrs. Reynolds. So I'm sure that happened. Looking forward to talking to him. And after the game, we're taking your calls. Hopefully another beam for the second time in as many games. But before that, halftime with Jerry. Thank you all so much for being here for the pregame show. We'll be back at halftime. Make sure you come back as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. Happy New Year's again. Go Kings. Light the damn beam. We'll see you at the half.